Hey everyone, and welcome back to r/EntitledParents. In today's episode, we'll be checking out 3 stories. In the first one, some random person keeps having packages delivered to OP's house, and they expect OP to be available to hand them off to her. In the second one, some Karen of a mother on the train demands that OP lets her kid play his trumpet during COVID. And in the last one, an entitled mom at a pool goes around trying to enforce rules on other kids, while her own demon spawn runs around breaking the rules himself. So thanks for tuning in today, and let's get right into these. This one's called Entitled Mother Gets Her Parcels Delivered to My Home. This story is something that happened to me and my fiance fairly recently. We recently bought our first home together in a nice quiet area in the north of England. If you're not familiar with the British postal system, basically, we get letters delivered through the flaps in our front doors, and parcels that are larger than the letterbox get handed to us if we're in. If we're not in, they get given to a neighbor and we can collect them later. If no one can take them, they get taken back to the depot, where they sit or are returned to the sender. So last month, we were just settling into our new home, and my fiance bought some clothes online for a local gym he wanted to join. I was in the house the day of the delivery as I was expecting it, and I'm working from home. When the delivery lady arrived with the parcel, there were 2. I thought nothing of it at first, and put it in the garage for my fiance to open later on. When he came in from work, he rushes to open his delivery like it was Christmas. And to his surprise, the second parcel was not for him. It had our address on it, but no name. We were both confused at this point and thought it may be for one of the neighbors, and they would collect it later. Time goes by, and we get a note through the door that reads, "Hey, my son got his parcel delivered to your house. Call me on this number so I can come collect it." Again, we thought it was a neighbor. My fiance called the number for a woman to answer, and she said she'll be over shortly to collect the parcel. It turned out she lived across the town, and her son chose our address to have it delivered to. We thought this was weird, but we assumed it must have been a mistake. Anyway, we thought that was the last of this, but the next day, I get 2 more parcels for this lady's son, again with no name, but with our address on the package. At this point, I'm thinking it was a mistake on their part, or possibly they used to live here. They come to collect their parcels, and all is well. But guess what? More and more parcels over the next week arrive for this lady's son. At this point, I'm starting to get really annoyed by this, as even though I work from home, I can't leave meetings constantly to collect parcels that aren't even ours. So the next day when the parcel lady comes, I just tell her, "Sorry, this isn't for me, and you'll need to return it to the sender." So off she goes and takes the parcel back to the depot. A few hours later, I hear a knock at the door, and guess who? Entitled Mother is standing there, with her son. I hate confrontations, so my memory of the conversation is a bit hazy. But she was furious that we denied her parcel, and now she had to wait for it to be re-delivered. I told her she needs to get her parcels delivered to her own home, as it's weird and inconvenient for me. Like, I don't even know this lady. She then tells me it's easier for her to get them delivered to my home, as I'm always in and she isn't. Now maybe this would possibly be okay if I was friends with her and she asked, but she lives across town and chose a random address for her parcels. Anyway, she leaves, and I think this may be the end of the story, but the parcels keep showing up for the next week. I politely tell the parcel lady they aren't mine and to return to sender. After a week of doing this, I stopped getting the parcels, so I guess she got the message. How entitled must this woman have been to think it's okay to get parcels delivered to a random person's home that she doesn't even know because it's easier for her? I really hope she didn't start doing this to someone else after me. But it was satisfying to know that she would wait twice as long for her parcels because they were returned to sender. The police are now informed, as I firstly didn't think it was anything illegal and just a lazy woman, but I will update if the police come back with anything. I also have CCTV of the lady and a phone number. Yeah, that is pretty entitled. She never even asked them if that was okay. I'd be a bit annoyed if I was in their position too. This lady's treating their house like a post office. Why wouldn't she just send it to an actual post office to pick it up instead? She's already driving across town to get it. And something actually just came to me. This could be a stretch, but it's possible. She could be doing this because she's up to some shady stuff. She could be ordering illegal stuff or things that she'll be using for illegal activities. And it's a pretty common practice for people to have things sent to an address that's not their own if they don't want it to be traced back to them. Especially when you consider that she's not putting her name on the package too, which actually just kind of further supports this theory. Like I said, that could be a stretch, but you never know. This one's called Entitled Mom on Train Tries to Force Me to Let Her Kid Try My Trumpet During COVID. Context: I'm a trumpetist in a local orchestra, and I need to go to rehearsals in another district every week. I live in a city that is very large geographically, and getting to a different district is like going to another city, and it takes around 1 hour on LRT, which is a light rail train that acts as a commuter rail in my city. I get on the train at the terminal station, so there's usually a seat next to the glass separator thing that I can lean on and take a nap. The reason why I'm making this post is also the reason why I didn't get to take a nap on my way to rehearsal today. As usual, I got in pretty early and found an ideal seat and sat down. Cue the entitled mom and her son. The kid being a kid is obviously he just got curious about the case that I kept on my lap. He asked me what is in the case. I told him about the trumpet and the orchestra and whatnot, and he asked me to show it to him. I was fine with it. As long as I'm careful not to drop it, it's no big deal at all. Well, it all went downhill from there. The kid asked to try and play it. Obviously, I said no. We were on a train after all, and although I doubt he would even be able to make a sound having not learned how to use the mouthpiece, I don't want to risk it. It's also just not hygienic to share a mouthpiece, something that you stick to your lips, with a total stranger, especially during COVID. Kids being kids, he obviously got loud, and entitled mom, being entitled mom, obviously was determined to get her little precious whatever he wants. Entitled mom, who was sitting on the opposite side from me, as people sit sideways on this kind of train, asks me nicely, quote unquote, "Hey, what's the big deal with letting the kid play with your trumpet?" At this point, I was already triggered. I tried to stay as calm as possible. I say, "You see, ma'am," I point to the mouthpiece that I have. "We blow into this, and it's a bit unhygienic to share mouthpieces. You've got two of them, just use the other one." I use both of them. These two are for different purposes. "Oh, quit being sophisticated. It's just a toy." I am already mad at this point. I got into a decent music college with trumpet playing, and I get paid for playing for the orchestra. It is obviously not a toy. Not for me. So I say, "Ma'am, I play this trumpet in an orchestra for a part-time job. I wouldn't..." She cuts me off. "Like music is a real job. Don't take yourself too seriously. Music isn't an actual job that you can feed yourself with." She is getting pretty loud at this point. Her kids started to cry, and people around who don't know what happened stared at me as if I'm the bad guy. "You music students are truly spoiled," she continued. "Good kids study math and physics and economy. Hobos study music and art." I get paid about $300 per month for this, which is a decent amount for a part-time job where I live. I save all that for college. So I continue. "I'm sure you work a decent job as well, but I wouldn't exactly call myself a hobo." She responds, "Did you just talk back to me without using insert honorific form of the word you in my language?" Yes, I did. At that point, I didn't want her to think that I respected her, or her words. I stopped talking to her, closed up the case, and left the seat. She started literally yelling at me. "Is that how you treat a person from an older generation from you at home? Unbelievable." Well, it gets even better from here. She grabbed my headphone cord and ripped them out of my ear. I was wearing it the whole time during this conversation because it sucks at soundproofing. She grabbed onto it and demanded me to apologize. No way in hell was I going to. I say, "It's my station. Let go of the headphone or I'm going to call security." We have security staff on the trains, and usually they help elderly people getting on and off, stop people from smoking, etc. She did not let go. I didn't even need to call the security guy. He saw what was happening and demanded the lady and her kid to leave the train on the next stop. I finally got peace and got off one station later than where I usually get off, just so I won't be getting off at the same station with her. The station I got off at wasn't much farther away from the place we were rehearsing, and the extra few cents for going slightly further was definitely worth it. Even putting aside all the nastiness and entitlement of this person, she obviously does not understand the value of a musical instrument, which is even more of a reason to say no, your kid can't play my trumpet. Instruments are goddamn expensive and fragile. As a musician myself, not professional mind you, if I were in this situation, I would have just straight up told her no. You don't even need to give them a reason other than the fact that they're just random strangers on the train. No way in hell am I gonna let your greasy hands get anywhere near my instrument. And I'm sure just about any musician would agree. This post is called "Entitled Karen at the Pool Tries to Police Me and My Friends." So this happened a while ago. I was about 6 or 7. The characters in this story are me, my dad, and of course our very special entitled Karen. My dad and I decided to go to the pool, just to swim around and play with our friends. We horse around for a bit, not going into the pool, but running around playing tag a couple feet away from the deck, basically in the grass. So then, I see a woman holding her son. They were walking over to us. Karen says, "Haven't you boys read the rules? No running on the deck." One of my friends replies, "But we're not playing on the deck, we're in the grass." "Did you hear me? I said no playing on the deck," insisted Karen. At this point, her little crotch goblin of a son bolts out of her arms and runs towards the deck. He then pushes another kid into the pool and runs right along the deck. We're shocked by now, and my dad, hearing the commotion, comes over. "What's going on here?" asked my dad. "Your children are horsing around near the deck. That's not allowed," said Karen. My dad replies, "I think if they're playing in the grass, which is 4 meters away from the deck, that's fine. If, however, your son pushes someone into the pool and then starts running near the deck, I have to say that's not fine. Mind your own business. I know you people, always trying to police others. You should go back where you came from." It's worth mentioning at this point that my 2 friends, my dad and myself, are all Asian. It's also worth mentioning how filthy a hypocrite this woman is. We all just walk away for a snack. Probably not the best kind of story, but it's one of my only encounters with a Karen, so I thought it was worth posting. That really is the most hypocritical thing, trying to call out OP and their friends for running when they were just on the grass. But as soon as her own kid breaks the rules by actually running across the deck and pushing another kid in the water, she couldn't care less. But as soon as she dropped that racist remark, that really just kind of solidifies it for me. She was just trying to start some trouble with them because they're Asian. In my opinion, that's what it looks like. And that's it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you haven't yet, consider subscribing and turning on notifications, because we've got more stories every day. Stay beautiful, everyone, and I'll see you next time.